London, Reuters, a day after being sworn in as the new U.S. Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo has arrived in Brussels for talks today with NATO allies on Russia and strengthening the military alliance. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is welcomed by NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg at a NATO foreign ministers meeting at the alliance's headquarters in Brussels, April 27, 2018. The meeting, a preview to the Leaders Summit in July, will discuss Russia's role in Ukraine and Syria, as well as plans for increasing security along Europe's southern frontier. Pompeo, known as a loyal supporter of Donald Trump with hawkish worldviews, will also press members of the alliance to increase their military budgets to meet a target of 2% of economic output on defense every year by 2024. Meanwhile in Washington, Germany's Angela Merkel will no doubt hear a similar message on defense spending from Trump himself. She will be there for an altogether shorter and more matter-of-fact encounter than the lavish state visits accorded to France's Emmanuel Macron, who for now at least appears to be Trump's favored partner in Europe. Merkel has few illusions about what the trip can achieve. Like Macron, she will press Trump not to rip up the 2015 Iran nuclear accord by reimposing sanctions on May 12, and she will make a last-minute push for Europe to be exempted from U.S. steel and aluminum tariffs due to kick in on May 1. However, on Iran, there is a growing expectation that Trump will push ahead with the sanctions regardless, and on trade, Merkel will make clear that Germany wants it to be as free as possible but will not hesitate to respond if the U.S. goes down a more protectionist route. Britain's Q1 growth figure due out at 0830 GMT will largely be seen through the prism of whether it makes an interest rate hike in May, now pretty much a 50-50 bet, more or less likely. The UK economy probably slowed in the first 3 months of 2018, due in part to the heavy snowfalls of February and March. The Bank of England was expected to ignore any weather-related weakness in the numbers and press ahead with an interest rate hike in May. But last week Governor Mark Carney said economic data had been mixed, causing investors to rethink their assumptions. A reading weaker than the expected quarterly growth of 0.3% in Friday's figures would add to the shift in expectations away from a May rate hike. Markets: is this a Berlin Wall moment? Only time will tell, but pictures of North Korea's Kim Jong-un walking across the DMZ and shaking hands with his South Korean counterpart are among the things lifting market mood this morning. German Chancellor Angela Merkel walks back to her hotel after going out for a walk and dinner shortly after arriving in Washington, April 26, 2018. Korean shares are at one-month highs and the won jumped 0.5% to the dollar. Asian stocks in general are up 0.8%. But there are a few other factors too that are bolstering markets. The Bank of Japan, for instance, removed the time horizon for achieving its 2% inflation target, moving to an open-ended commitment and cutting its inflation forecast for the year to 1.3%. Advertising is an important and very profitable bucket of revenue for Amazon and is also growing at a fast rate. They are just getting started here, D.A. Davidson analyst Tom Forte. Then there is tech. U.S. shares closed 1% higher on Thursday on back of a 9% jump in Facebook and forecast beating results from other tech firms and chipmakers. Amazon meanwhile rose strongly in aftermarkets after a 43% surge in revenue. That helped tech stocks rebound off two-week lows. Asian tech is doing great too, Baidu the latest to beat forecasts, following on from Samsung and Taiwan Semiconductors earlier. 10-year U.S. bond yields meanwhile have retreated off 3% after goods orders data showed the economy is growing steadily but not firing from all cylinders. The final reading of U.S. Q1 GDP is due later today. The Russian central bank meets and is unlikely to cut rates as was previously expected due to the possible impact of new sanctions on inflation. The dollar is set for its biggest weekly gain since early February after a steep run up to 3-1/2 month highs against a basket of the most traded currencies. With ECB chief Mario Draghi signaling accommodative policy will continue and warning the bank would not hesitate to act in event of unwanted or unwarranted tightening in conditions, the single currency fell to a fresh 3-1/2 month low to the dollar of $1.211. Draghi also batted away the recent softness in Eurozone data, but today's French data showed the Eurozone's second biggest economy grew just 0.3% in Q1, the slowest rate since Q3 2016, more or less confirming the recovery has come up against a wall. Bets are sure to grow that the ECB will have to push back the timing to end its bond buying. Anyway, with the ECB and BOJ out of the way, attention will turn to next week's Fed meeting. No change is expected. In terms of other data, there is German unemployment and UK Q1 GDP. The latter may provide direction to sterling, which has slumped below $1.40 to 6-week lows as bets on a May rate rise have been pared right back. European equities are set to end the week with a flourish. The STOXX 600 is up 0.1 and on track for its fifth week of gains in a row, rivaling last September's winning streak, and the FTSE is up marginally as well. A look at the day ahead from European economics and politics editor Mark John and deputy MEA markets editor Sujata Rao. The views expressed are their own, our standards. The Thomson Reuters Trust Principles.